The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord Christ.
Jesus said, I came to bring fire to earth, and how I wished it were already kindled. I have a baptism with which to be baptized, and what stress I am under until it is completed. Do you think that I have come to bring peace to the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. From now on, 5 in one household will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say, it is going to rain, and so it happens. And when you see the south wind blowing, you say, there will be scorching heat, and it happens. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of earth and sky. Why do you not know how to interpret the present time? The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Please be seated. Good morning. It's wonderful to be back with you again. I just love Nativity. You all are so friendly and warm, and I've had the honor of speaking several times with the Daughters of the King, so I am delighted to be here with you today. I wasn't going to touch the gospel, but there was so much conflict in the gospel that I thought, well, I can't let it pass, because in the epistle we look at faith. So really, faith and conflict really do go together. At least in my life, sometimes it works that way. So my words to you today is usually taken from the 12 steps. Take what you need and leave the rest at the end of the meeting. So I offer that to you as well this morning. In the epistle, it talks about faith and how things are moved by faith and what they believe. Then the first, in Hebrews, in the first verse, it says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And how many of us forget about faith and the importance of it, especially with all the conflict that we're seeing in the world today? I find it very scary, and it makes me crazy that the world is crazy. But I rely on my faith, because if I keep my eyes upon Jesus and keep putting one foot in front of the other, Jesus has promised to walk with me. God promises not to abandon us, but we are people of faith. We come here every Sunday to be fed by Scripture, by the bread and the wine of Jesus. And that helps sustain our faith in today's world. Last Sunday, I had my 9-year-old granddaughter, Bella Grace, staying with me. She's an amazing young girl. Sometimes she speaks a lot of sense when I don't have any. So she and I had the opportunity to have dinner and talk about what she'd been doing for the summer. Well, Bella has been going to surf camp for 3 years in a row. She's gotten to be quite an avid little surfer, to my anxiety. And so I say, Bella, aren't you nervous when you're out there? She said, no, Grammy. I respect the creatures that are all around me. And I said, well, what about the sharks? Grammy, they're not going to attack. You got to give them cause to come after you. I don't do that. I respect them. And besides, Grammy, you have taught all my cousins and I that God's got our back. I went, oh, yeah, I did, didn't I? Well, okay then. She's amazing. She goes lobstering with her dad, and she even catches lobster. 9 years old. I go, oh, be still my heart. She loves the boat, and she has no fear. And so I guess I'm fearful for her. And when she sees me with a worried look on my face, she'll go, Grammy, didn't you go to school to learn about faith? Yes, Bella, I did. She says, don't you pray? Yes, Bella, I do. Well, isn't that enough? Out of the mouths of babes. And my 7-year-old granddaughter, who out of 6 grandchildren is the only one that's wanted to be an acolyte. And so she now gets robed on Sundays, she's scheduled, and she'll sit up there and she's very serious, very serious. And I'll go to her before service. Now, Lily, you can't be talking up there. There can be no joking around. Oh, no, Grandma, I know better than that. And so after the 3rd Sunday, she had it. She said, God's got my back, and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I said, okay, I'm not worried. Nope, don't worry, Grandma. I got you covered. 7. And so she's doing her thing, and everybody stands up for the gospel, and the acolytes are sitting. And I turn around and see, and Bella looks at me and says, she leans over to him, and Lily says, you got to get up. My grandmother is going to read the book. Faith. At 7 years old, they have faith. They know that God's got their back. But how many of us here know that God's got our back? We all go through some pretty tough struggles. Look at the world around us today. Look at the communities, the violence, the conflicts. But Jesus tells us to keep our eyes upon him. He tells us and promises that he will be the one to give us and lead us through the hard times. I work with cancer patients every day. Actually, I work with lung cancer patients. And the hardest thing for some of them is to find their faith when they're having a medical crisis. And not all of them know what I do outside of work, because really I take being a priest with me wherever I go, but I don't have to advertise it. I bring my faith and where Jesus calls me to be. And I'll sit with them and I'll tell them, you need to put your eyes back on Jesus. When in your life did you have your eyes on Jesus? And they can go back and remember a time when things were going well for them and positive before they were diagnosed. And then I go, where is Jesus now? Well, I don't know. I'm getting chemotherapy. I'm going for radiation. I have all these doctor's appointments. I said, stop. Where is Jesus for you? This minute, this time. And they'd say, Jesus is in my heart. I said, then Jesus hasn't left you. You need to refocus. Yes, you're going through some tough times. But you've got people that are praying for you. You have Jesus walking with you. You need to keep your eyes on Jesus. You need to let him in and let him help carry the burdens of your days. and pray. And don't be afraid to ask people to pray for you. We're praying for the world. We're praying for the communities. We're praying for this church. We're praying for all of you. And you are praying for all of you. That's where our faith is. Faith for us is put into action through prayer. Faith is put into action to keep our eyes on Jesus as we go through each and every day and each and every challenge. I was called to serve on a men's Cursillo about 2 years ago. I had never been asked to serve on a men's Cursillo. I never dreamt I'd want to be on a men's Cursillo. I was always on a women's Cursillo. And I really had to give this a lot of thought. And I went, God, why am I being called to this? Well, my focus on Jesus and the message I heard was, do it. I said, okay. So I said, yes, I'd be happy to serve on that Cursillo. 3 weeks after I said yes, I took my dog out at 6 a.m, and some dog came out of nowhere and jumped him. And you would have thought somebody was going to die. It was horrible. And I opened the screen door and I yelled to him to come in, and he did. For the first time in his life, he listened to what I said. And he come running in, and I checked him. There was not one mark on him. Not one mark. And I went, okay, God, here's my first conflict. I said yes. And this was the evil forces trying to change my mind. But he was good. He was good, and I was fine. And I came to noontime, and I started to pray, and I went, okay, well, maybe I should think about coming off the team. And then I got busy, and I never gave it another thought. 3 weeks after that, my then 16-year-old grandson was in a car accident, broke his neck. We did not know if he was going to be paralyzed or not. I prayed and prayed, and I realized that I didn't have the faith I needed to keep praying. So I called the Cursillo team I was on, and I begged for prayer. I called Reverend Mary, and I begged for prayer. And I know that the daughter's here, and he's been on the prayer list. I put him on every prayer list that I could because I needed to know that there were prayers being offered because my faith was waffling at that point. Christian goes through surgery. The neurosurgeon comes out and says, I've had to rebuild his entire neck with rods and screws and plates. I don't know what's going to happen. We have to wait till he wakes up. And one of the other spiritual directors, Father Bernie Piccaro, came to the hospital and was sitting with my family and I while we were waiting. And I said, Bernie, I have to come off the Cursillo team. There's no way I can do this. And Bernie said, no, you're not. Let's just wait. Let's see. He's not paralyzed. He has a 5-year window where paralysis could, in fact, happen. I know it's not. He's on the prayer list. I know in my heart that God's got him. And when Christian woke up and he could speak, I was in there and I was just so emotional and weepy. And he says, Grandma, God's got my back. Isn't that what you taught me? I said, yes, Christian, I did. He is now graduated high school last month, and he is going to enroll in barber school because there's a lot of things he can't do, but that he will. If you leave with nothing else today, know that God's got our back. Our prayers can move mountains. People experience healing through prayer in body, mind, and spirit. I am thankful. I am grateful. I am a faithful woman of God, and I believe in the power of prayer. Look at what happened in the epistle. Those people had faith, and water was moved, and the Jericho wall was knocked down. Faith, my brothers and sisters, faith is what sustains us. It's what feeds us. It's what gives us life and belief. Because we will always have our eyes upon Jesus. And with those eyes on Jesus, we can't go wrong because we're never alone. So God's got your back. If you leave with nothing else, that's what I'm leaving you with today. May God bless you all. May God give you peace. And may you always love and trust in each other and in the power of prayer. Amen.